The Square Ball Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the show. It's brought to you in association with Levi Solicitors. We thank them for their support. 10% discount on your legal fees at levisolicitors.co.uk/the Square Ball. Michael, you're well rehearsed in this now. You know exactly what it is that they do, don't you, services-wise?
Yeah, legal services.
Correct. Well done. What kind of legal services? If you had to list some of your favourites that are not wills, probate or conveyancing.
Oh, now then. They are my favourites. So.
I mean, we stopped specialising in talking in them 2 weeks ago now.
Well, let me think all the other stuff they do.
If you had a dispute.
Yeah, like a work.
To be resolved.
A commercial dispute.
Property
dispute.
Yep.
I haven't because I'm friends with people.
Your nose is very clean, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not necessarily going to be my fault, is it? Other people can be annoying, so sometimes they need putting in line.
Yeah, we do need to talk about your legal victory, actually, at some point on the show today.
Over Wizz Air?
Over Wizz Air, yeah, the airline. But
yes.
that was nothing to do with Levi's.
No.
But there, I think by osmosis, you learned how to succeed in the courtroom.
Yes, it was. I definitely went to a courtroom.
That's how good they are. And yes, it's online appointments. That's it, isn't it, that we're talking about?
Yep, you can do that.
And why is that good? Because if you can do online appointments, you can do it from anywhere, can't you?
Exactly. You don't have to be in Leeds.
levisolicitors.co.uk/the Square Ball. Moscow's here as well. Hello, Moscow.
Hi.
We're going to be talking this week on the Extra Ball about managers that are alive, which is always good. Because
more than Leeds United have got.
Well, we were. That's true. We don't have a current living manager, do we?
Nope.
No. Dear me. So we were posed the question. It was on Propaganda, wasn't it, a couple of weeks back after the first Man United game? Actually, like their fans were suggesting it wasn't fair that we'd sacked a manager and had an interim manager in for reasons.
Because the new manager bounce is unfair. Is an unfair presence in a season.
It's unbeatable.
Yes, apart from the times
they beat us just afterwards.
But we didn't have the bounce then, did we?
Yeah, the bounce had gone.
That was the standstill. Yeah, the ball. I'm imagining a ball bouncing and then.
Well, look at Deitch. First game beat Arsenal.
Yep.
Second game lost.
Done. It's over. They're down. Which we will be previewing Everton and Deitch in a bit. Oh, I can't wait for that. It's your favourite part of the week, isn't it?
I've got a sore throat as well at the moment.
Oh, no excuse.
Don't make me do it.
No excuse. Do you know what it is? It'll be a special coffee. Which we'll get into in this show. Because
this show just about picking on me for one thing or another.
Do you know Michael started? He's rejected the coffee that's provided by the office that we're in, the serviced offices. Brings his own special coffee now.
I just like to make one at home and drink it in the car on the way.
Because the coffee here is not good enough for Michael anymore. Have to have my special coffee.
So there's nothing wrong with wanting nice coffee. That's why I go to Lanes.
Dan. Anyway, Extra Ball. So we're exploring the question of, if you could only lose your job as a manager through death, who would still be in charge of which Premier League club?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is an interesting thought experiment, isn't it?
And
also if you had to stay in it as long as you lived.
Yeah, that's the point.
Like if you tried to resign. No,
there's none of that.
Yeah,
as long as there is a breath in your body, you manage Brentford.
Yeah, well, it does mean we have a couple of 88-year-old managers in the Premier League at the minute based on these rules. But that's on the Extra Ball for members as well, so check that out in your feed. Into part one of the show then, which is the news. And speaking of managers, we don't have one, as we were saying.
Skubes.
But we have Skubes.
We got Skubes.
We had a tweet.
We have one for the upcoming fixtures.
Yep.
Whatever upcoming means.
It wasn't just a tweet, it was a statement on the website as well. With some quotes from
the two were related, yes.
Yeah, so it all works together.
Upcoming fixtures could mean anything from now until the club folds, which will hopefully be soon, given the stress they inflict on us.
Yeah, no one saw this coming. But a week ago, I think we were still fairly confident of getting a manager in.
Who called it on the last show?
I think I said these things happen or something along those lines.
Because you've got quite a bleak outlook.
Exactly. I think it was what's the worst thing that could happen here? They've made a massive thing about we're going to have someone in quickly and they'll completely fuck it up. But even I didn't think we'd actually do it. But here we are.
We were saying it would be a good idea.
Were we?
Yeah, on the match ball.
Were we?
Yeah. We'd all basically come around to like if Skubes keeps it going, what's wrong with just we may as well just give it to him if he was sort of the two games he had, as he has now proven, kind of put himself into a viable contention. And it's like, well, if we can't get anybody else, then we were like, could he be the option? But I think it was that thing of not expecting it to happen. It was, if that is the worst thing that can happen, then he's done all right so far. So you'd feel, I don't feel bad about it. I know everybody seems very upset, but I'm a bit confused about some of the logic.
What logic are you confused?
Whose logic? Fan logic or the club's?
We we trusted him with the team against a team that's third in the table twice. So he should probably be able to handle Everton and Southampton, who are objectively much, much worse.
Yeah.
But I guess the thing with those games was it was too soon to get anyone else in, and you hoped the club would fit. It's a bit like, putting a bit of gaffer tape on something is fine for to keep something held together for a period. But eventually you're going to want to get it replaced or screw it together or use a cable tie. That's my long term solution.
Cable ties are very robust, aren't they?
They really are. So I guess that's why people are a bit.
Yeah.
Were you saying that we were happy to keep him after the second Scum game when Alien Head had come into town and everyone was like, God, not him.
I'm pretty sure basically.
Yeah.
I'm from memory. I can remember we were all sitting here thinking, well, Skubes is all right, isn't he? Like, the team looks a lot better. He seems to be getting more out of them than the last guy, so it'll be fine. And it is kind of, it's not ideal. I think there's probably, there came a point. I think this is probably the first good decision they've made since they sacked Jesse Marsh, because Marsh, now in retrospect, it looks like that should have been done much sooner to give us a much better chance of replacing him with anybody. That's the current problem. In the predicament they are in, saying on Tuesday, we're just going to give it Skubes at the weekend at least, and probably for the one after, kind of, at least it's some certainty and you know where you're going with that. And then, because even if, like, it's Thursday lunchtime now, so even if Nuno said, I'll do it, he's not going to, it's like, he's not a magician. We don't suddenly then beat Everton just because we got Nuno before on Friday, and he's probably in a different country at the moment and all that kind of stuff. So even if we announced Nuno now, it's still Skubes' team on the weekend. So I guess putting that in place and saying, listen, we're going to look for a manager, but Saturday it's down at Skubes.
I was going to say it's can I use my favourite word again? Sorry, Mike.
Optics.
Optics. It's the optics of it, isn't it? How it looks. I watched Succession, by the way. This is not my word, it's their word. It's in there a lot. How it looks, and had Radrizzani not tweeted, then we may not have had as much drama.
Yeah, there would have been expectation. There still probably would have been, like, I mean, you always get the drama because you had the thing when, was it when Weston McKennie was signed and everyone's desperate for, like, why hasn't the announcement been made yet? And there wasn't
not
even
done yet.
Yeah, and there wasn't even a time frame on it. It was just like, kind of like, everyone's getting very irate about it not being announced on Twitter yet. So there's always that certain amount of pressure, and that's where Radrizzani just loves adding to it.
Yeah.
But the sensible thing to do, it now looks like, having seen the state of the job market, was to have made this decision back when there were good managers available and willing to do the job. And so,
like a foresight, do you want to? If you had to accuse him of anything, would that be it?
Well, I don't know who has foresight. Mother Shipton.
Mystic Meg used to do on the lottery. Do you remember on the lottery on Saturday night, and a crystal ball would come up? And,
so it is.
And she'd say, I think the winner will be a man or a woman, or that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's it does start to add up though, because it's second year in a row that when they've left it too late to act and ended up acting at the worst possible time, and making things much more difficult. Because there's always the story. We had it very quickly with Radrizzani of, like, we play Aston Villa and he wants to sack a manager, but then there's this pause. We even had it with Thomas Christensen when I think they wanted him. They all sort of started saying this isn't going to work, and then leaving it a while longer until he stayed. Did he stay until after the January window had closed as well? And then we got Eki in. So it's always just that thing of leaving it a bit too late and not being bold, even with, like, the hindsight that they were all talking with Bielsa, where they're saying, last summer we were talking about getting rid of him and replacing him with a new coach and instead of new players, but we never did out about it. So now look how we are. It's like, well, we should have just sacked him then if you'd lost faith in him. There's lack of, there does seem to be a consistent theme of not making the decisions at a time that would benefit them the most, and then backing into a corner where you are now, like, we'll just have to give it Skubes.
When did we beat Liverpool? So that was I'm just looking on Wikipedia. It was the 29th of October we beat Liverpool.
And then we beat Bournemouth.
And you wonder, off the back of those 4 defeats at that point, because there was talk that they lost faith in him then, and that saved his job. That if you'd lost faith in him then and you didn't think it was going to work, should a single result, and again, it's always with the benefit of hindsight, should a single result then completely shift your opinion the other way? Or back over the threshold of firing anyway?
Well, I would have been... It was clear over summer we weren't going to get rid of him. But the way last season ended, I wouldn't have objected to us making a change in summer, which I know is potentially a bit harsh, given we just stayed up. But there wasn't much good stuff at the end of last year. And I suppose I slightly took on board what Jesse said about dealing with the stress of it and how you can't play proper football there and how they weren't his players and all that sort of stuff. But it seemed fairly early this season that people were already thinking, well, now he's got all the stuff he wanted. He's got the time. He's got the players. And it still looks not altogether different than that first home defeat against Villa. We're still conceding the same. The pull back to the edge of the box with them scoring, the ball to the back post and them scoring, the lack of width going forward. It does all look a bit similar still.
Yeah.
So what exactly has happened in this period, and if he's not done anything to this point, when does it change? And I know there are always examples of managers turning it around. Like Arteta at Arsenal had a couple of tough years, and now they're top of the league. Admittedly, they're now
they're not actually.
Oh, they're not. They're last night. They're now.
They've got a game in hand though,
dropping like a stone, obviously. But you would have
to say
you would have to say that has worked.
I am completely ambivalent about Man City winning anything because, as we've seen, they like to approach it in their own unique way, and it don't mean anything, does it? When you've got all the money of a petro state behind you, whatever, petrodollars. Funny to watch Arsenal chuck it away.
The only reason I want Man City to lose really is because I enjoy listening to City Extra.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
and them getting upset about stuff. But yeah, I agree. It's
on the flip side, you've got Arsenal fan TV. They're
trying to be sane at the moment, though. I've noticed. This
but that'll go out the window. If they blow this, it'll go out the window by the end of the season. They'll be furious.
Possibly so. But yeah, I'm the same with Man City. I think I'll let them win it because it doesn't matter anyway.
Any difference?
Well done.
Meaningless.
Well done. You've spent billions of pounds and you've won it. Amazing.
Well done.
I'm shocked.
Take it all off them later.
Well, exactly. Hopefully.
I think with us, it's about how I suppose there's different styles of leadership, and there's one where it's doing what Arsenal did with Arteta, and it's like, no, we're gonna block out all the noise, concentrate on the good that we see, and back him to eventually become successful, and that's paid off for them. I think with us, when we came back after the break for the Queen passing away, then it was the 0-0 at home to Villa, which mitigating circumstances, Sinisterra's red card and Villa being annoying. But then losing to Palace, losing to Arsenal, the performance was good, wasn't it? Losing to Leicester, the performance was terrible.
It was awful.
Losing to Fulham.
It was awful.
And then we got late winner at Liverpool.
Late winner against Bournemouth.
Bournemouth and Spurs are kind of the same game, but with the results reversed. So the underlying trend of performances, everything was quite similar, where it's all quite chaotic and there's not really a thing happening. But that run of games without winning from, well, basically after beating Chelsea, Brighton, Everton, Brentford, Villa, Palace, Arsenal, Leicester, Fulham. There was enough awfulness in there. Fulham was pretty bad. There was enough awfulness going on in all that took him right to the brink at Liverpool, where it's like, if he doesn't get a result here, he's gone. And yeah, I think that was maybe the moment where, going into the World Cup, it was a decision to go like, what's the actual trend? Is it that we've beaten Liverpool and we've got late winners against Liverpool and Bournemouth, and that shows a brighter future? Or is it that it's taken weeks to get decent performances and decent results, and that's the trend? And then the third part is, who else could come now and take over? And I think looking around, it's where some of our hindsight fits in, where you start seeing who other clubs have managed to get during that period. You go, well, we could have maybe had one of those if we'd made that decision at that point.
We nearly had Alfred Schroeder.
We did, and then now we got, it's probably for the best that we didn't, or just in terms of keeping the peace.
I would say, just based on what you were saying there, Moscow, actually, the fact that we still, even with hindsight, can't properly pick the moment at which you would go, well, that's when he should have gone. Because there were moments where you've gone, particularly off the back of bad performances like Leicester, but then it was followed by, all right, ignore the Fulham game for a second, but yeah, Liverpool, Bournemouth, and then a good performance at Spurs that we should have won.
Well, I would take...
albeit with some weak. And that's why we went into the World Cup break. So you think, okay, it is kind of heading in the right direction roughly, but I
would take it after the break for the Queen when we came back looking no better. I was going to say, he had a second pre-season and we didn't improve.
I was going to say it all boils down to results, doesn't it? No matter which way you approach this from, whether you agree with leaving Skubes in, or you think they should have done something more, or you think the timing was bad, it all boils down to results. And that's what's done for Marsh in his job, regardless of whether you think the performances were improving. And it's what they need now. So Skubes only looks like a good decision if we come out of these next 2 games with 4 points, 6.
I think 4 would be okay. I think 4 would be just about all right. It would.
6, he gets the job for life.
He probably does.
Sign that 10-year FFP-friendly contract.
Well, the problem is he's not been talking to Victor Orta for long enough, probably. I think anyone put in a room with Victor Orta can persuade him that they're a managerial...
When you think about it, the whole futsal background, the fact that he's ascended relatively quickly, for where he is. I mean, we're talking... a guy was spotted as a PE teacher by some of his ex-pupils not so long ago in the last week or 2. Victor Orta will be all over that. It's such a hipster thing to do. I was the first guy to put a futsal coach in.
Although we got rid of Marich, didn't we? He was the
blogger.
He was the tactics blogger.
Seems to have been having a nice time in the stands.
It is very concerning though that we make these appointments, because it's another failure, and almost appointing Schroeder would have. I don't know whether it would have been a failure on the pitch, but it certainly didn't look like a very good appointment. To everyone looking in at it, going, well, this guy's not got any history of success anywhere, particularly. He did well, but he did well for
he's copied
a few months.
He's copied the Jesse Marsh arc of doing well in a smaller league with the best team in the league, and then making steps up and then failing, and then he's left his most recent job under something of a cloud because he was a very bad fit for it by the looks of it. So it's got Victor Orta all over it.
Are we unusual in having basically one football person?
I think so.
In charge of stuff. I don't know if
a director of football. No, there's lots of clubs that directors.
No, but I mean, in terms of the people who make the decision, it feels like Orta is in charge of that, and maybe there's not. You've got Radrazani who is in charge of the business stuff. The 49ers lingering somewhere in the background. You've got Kinnear who seems to manage day-to-day business stuff. I don't know. It feels like, is there anyone there to argue the toss with Orta to say?
I think Radrazani's.
I don't think necessarily this is the right.
I think Radrazani's probably the one who does the most arguing the toss, but that's from a position of not knowing much about football.
Like I say, I don't know. I don't know about structures at other clubs. It feels like Victor Orta is essentially the go-to man, though, for
it's an awful
football.
It's a lot of power concentrated into a very small area, isn't it? But is that different from, say, Brighton, who have a director of football?
Yeah, you'd have someone in charge, and I think it would not be a good structure to have.
Designed by committee. Yeah.
Well, to have a director of football and then to have somebody sitting next to him going he's wrong. I don't think that's going to be...
Not to say he's wrong, though, but I guess to maybe discuss things at a deeper level in terms of what might work and what might not work.
Yeah, the sense that maybe you've got like a head of recruitment who's separate to... and they work together, and it's 2 voices, even if the director of football has the ultimate sign-off. But we're just kind of speculating here, aren't we?
Yeah, completely. What we're not speculating on, though, is that other than Bielsa, Orta's appointments have been shit.
Yes.
There's no debate.
I think that's what happened with Schroeder as well, is that people looked at him and went, he's just like the others, stop doing this. Even if he would have been the best fit at this particular time because they want to wait for the summer or whatever. Anyway, Jesse Marsh not going to Southampton. Are you upset, relieved, happy, delighted, think it's funny?
I wanted him to go, though, because I don't think he's very good. And I thought he'd be a nice ticket to them taking up one of the relegation spots, because I think they've got a worse squad than us. And he couldn't get results with us, so you would therefore assume he wouldn't with them.
They seem to have a bit of they're trying the Skubes tactic as well. I guess it's just the season is that there must be no managers around apart from Jesse Marsh and Nathan Jones. So there's maybe the prospect that we could swap, but they're going with is he called Tellers, who's the coach that's stepping up, and it's the similar sort of thing where the players like him and he's well regarded within the club, and he's always been kind of like they've brought him in with an eye that he could develop in the future, and things have improved since they got rid of Nathan. I mean, everything, of course. As soon as Nathan Jones goes, you just breathe a huge sigh of relief, don't you? But yeah, so they're going down that route. It would have been entertaining because I think
it would have. Do you think it would have provided kind of a bit of closure in terms of how it would have panned out at Leeds? Because if he takes them down, albeit they're lower down than us in the table, you would have gone, well, that's what would have probably happened.
If Skubes had smacked his Saints like 6-0 at Elland Road, I think that would have said a few things, wouldn't it? But we're into the... But equally, if the Saints had marched all over Scubatron's lads and it had ended with we end up relegated at their expense, that says something for Jesse Marsh then, does it? So it's maybe for the best that it doesn't happen. I mean, we work on it. Also, the distraction thing, because it's curious with the way Marsh has left, and I think it might be relevant to how long it took to make the decision. Is Rennie Maric has had his little sort of tweets that seem from his reading between the lines that he wasn't happy working for Marsh. And it's like, well, and you wonder when that began. Is that in the last month, or was it a long time ago that he's been struggling to get his ideas involved? And then the players, not a single player saying anything still.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, like, you can read into it what you want, but it's really interesting.
Yeah, and then Jesse Marsh saying nothing either, which is also interesting. So this sort of...
And is a break from form.
This cone of silence that has descended over him leaving Elland Road speaks to or suggests, and you can speculate, that it was not happy. Like he's gone and nobody's going to miss him, and people are glad that he's gone, and that if he is glad that he's gone. So you wonder when that started and whether a decision could have been made earlier, because you say before, it's all about results, and we beat Liverpool, so it's fine. But then did we beat Liverpool? But at the same time, you walk into Thorpe Arch every day and everyone's like, this guy. So speculation, but there's something in there about maybe we could have moved earlier if it was as unhappy behind the scenes as we can sort of read into it appearing. All of that would have had to come out in the open if he was turning up with Southampton, because he does his press conference. So what happened at Leeds? Well, he's like, yeah. Well, and we know from his history that he's not just going to go, I'd rather not talk about Leeds, because it would have burned him up inside.
He would have said that and then gone on to talk about it for 50 minutes.
But also our players would have then had to do the round of media interviews before the games where it's like, so you're coming up against Jesse Marsh, and they would have been forced to try and bland their way out of it. It's like, yeah, obviously it's sad that things didn't work out, but the questions would have been asked, and it would have been a week leading up to that game of sort of reliving, as we are doing on this podcast right now, what happened with Marsh at Leeds. And we won't have that if he isn't there. We can just concentrate on beating them, which is probably a more useful thing to do, and having
a few distractions.
Celebrate Skubes. We had a ruling on Skubes, by the way. The spelling.
Okay.
And the nickname. We had a very kind email from, let me just find the fella. He was called Joe.
Still is probably called Joe.
Yeah, Joe's always going to be called Joe. You wouldn't stop him being called Joe.
Joseph.
So the spelling, and also where the nickname had come from. Joe had the pleasure of being playing for him. He played for Skubes at Loughborough Uni, the Loughborough Uni football team of 2014-15. And he sent us a screenshot from a Michael Skubala message.
Okay.
Saying, gents, hope you're all well and exams are going okay. Wednesday afternoon sessions are now finished. Can you please tell me if it's still around on the 24th and available to be bodies in football sessions all day? Cheers.
So, before you get to it, I'm saying good at admin.
Yeah, he's all on top of it, so everything's organised. And then sign off. Cheers, Skubes. And it is Skubes. I can't even spell. Yeah, simple words. Skubes. Yeah. So not the... I'd gone for...
Are you sure it's not Skubes?
I'd favoured Skobs for the kind of Scooby-Doo tie-in. But the man himself, prefers Skubes. And Joe did add... he said he's a great bloke and manager. Shame I was a know-it-all student who didn't listen much. Hence why I'm about to set off for a game of reserve team Sunday League football on a hangover, while he's about to lead us to a Nonto-inspired thrashing of that bunch of tosses from across the Pennines.
There we go.
But yeah, so he is officially Skubes. And I'd noticed...
Skubes like pubes, that's how you remember it.
Yeah. I'd noticed Bill Ayling on an interview, I think after his first game, referred to him, he dropped a Skubes. So it's pretty well established.
Jesse Marsh definitely called him it in the early days.
Do you think he walked in and
we got higher authorities. We got a Loughborough Uni student and Luke Ayling.
He went,
now I believe it.
I'm Michael Skubala. Don't call me Mike. Call me Skubes.
Are you happy that we're going to be managed by a Michael?
Is it? It's the first time, is it?
I think so.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I might change my surname as well, just to add to confusion.
What, to Skubes?
To Skubes.
Okay. Well done to the women. They are back on the right track after beating Merseyrail 5-1 at home.
Very good.
Do you like what that did there?
Very good, yes.
Playing league football as well, because the Cups, as you were saying last week, I think it was you, Moscow anyway, somebody in that chair mentioned that the league games get cancelled in favour of the Cups. Abby Brown with a hat-trick. You can read about that on the blog
an
as well.
assist. Hat-trick and an assist.
That's a bit much, isn't it?
Yeah, no. Good. But she did not get carried away. And Florence Nelson, as you were about to say, I jumped in by accident, was written about that, about a goal scorer just doing business. Couldn't even remember any of the goals afterwards.
Doing business.
It's good as well on the highlights. You can hear Neil Warnock shouts of Brownie, Brownie over and over again, which is nice.
He's back in business now, isn't he? Is Colin? Did you see that they played at Stoke, did Huddersfield last night? So this is Wednesday night. We're recording on Thursday morning. He wasn't there, was he? I don't think.
He didn't bother.
He was finishing off his family holiday. He pulled a Steve Bruce.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where is he? We know.
Probably Cornwall.
Just still in Cornwall.
Just down the coast.
What was the result?
3-0, I think it was. They lost.
Oh.
They lost 3-0.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Because at one stage,
yeah.
BBC Radio Leeds tweeted out saying that the hosts were 1-0 were in front, but then put it as Stoke City 0, Huddersfield 1. So I think it may have given people the impression that Huddersfield were winning, but they weren't.
Oh, it's great stuff.
Bless
So they were okay. So we tried to deal with Stoke City's team a few weeks ago by accident. Stoke took the lead through Phil Jagielka.
Jags.
Naturally.
Wow.
But old Jags
he must be at least 50.
Assisted by Will Smallbone. Mentioned just because his name's funny. Then in the second half, William Boyle gets sent off for Huddersfield, and it's a collapse. And then, so who scored? Who made it 3-0 in the 94th minute?
Was it Baker?
It was Lewis Baker, yeah. Scored that 10 minutes after Dwight Gale was substituted off. And he'd only just come on in place of Will Smallbone. But that's great, isn't it? Yeah. Warnock can't even be bothered turning up to Stoke, and they lose 3-0 and have a player sent off. Oh, well, it'll just help inspire them for the weekend. Well, like, I can go in there and I can... I won't even bother watching that game because it's all in the past. And it, like any other manager would be, I probably need to watch that game and work out what went wrong. No. We just need to get them back into the right frame of mind. And I think me going in there is really going to cheer them all up, so we won't have to dwell on that. What a team, though! You were saying on one of the other podcasts,
Seamless,
about like he never changes.
No,
but it's also like and you were talking as well about the Huddersfield team. That never changes either. Like that, it's
been the same for 20 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, of course it's Waghorn and it's Hogg and it's Tom Lees is there, and who was the other play?
Danny Ward and
Jordan
Rhodes are still there. I mean, they've left and gone back,
but still,
I feel like John Stead is probably going to be on the bench still or something.
It just
Boothie.
It just works. He's probably going to try and get Jags for next season, but just that because he'll be in League One and he won't be able to handle Stoke with the Championship anymore. Andy
Booth is still at Huddersfield, actually, isn't he, in some capacity? And he'll have been... Warnock must know him.
Maybe it's like...
he had Boothie as a kid. There's videos of him trying to cheer Boothie up. That's it. It's one of the great early Warnock videos at Huddersfield where he's absolutely tearing shreds off of everybody. And then as they're going out, he's like, not you though, Boothie. You're doing great for me out there, son.
And Huddersfield currently 23rd in the Championship on 28 points. Just 41 off the top.
No worry.
Which, I mean,
I'll go there next week.
They've still got 45 to play for Moscow, so it could be on. That push could still happen if everybody above them loses every game.
God, I hope he don't succeed there.
Of course he won't. Of course he won't.
Just to see how fucking smug he'll be about it.
But at least we'll have some clips for propaganda because they'll be on Radio Leeds, won't he? So we'll have some readily available stuff there. We'll have to.
I bet they're delighted to have him back.
Listening figures. Take a tumble.
You lose Jesse Marsh, you gain Neil Warnock.
And finally, 21s drew 2-2 at Newcastle, coached by somebody called Michal Pudak, who is not Mickey Skubes.
Who knew we had so
Mickey
many...
Poods?
Mickey Poods, yeah.
Maybe you're going to try and combine all their names into your new identity. Michael Pudak Skubala.
Skubjak, something like that. Yeah, we weren't allowed to watch this one, were we? Because the Merseyside derby was on.
Yeah, so the rules are that you're not allowed to screen anything at the time when the Premier League is on.
Although the under-18s game was on during the game last night, City against Everton, Manchester City.
Maybe that's child football, so it's all right.
Yeah, so there must be a level, but it's, pre-old. I don't know why they think that there's this massive amount of interest in an under-21s game that's going to rob the Premier League of all its viewers, and yet the under-18s, no, that's fine.
It's primarily subscription model anyway. You got the money. Let people watch the under-21s for God's sake.
Yeah, I suppose they're selling it. There will be those few advertisers clinging on, going, "Oh, why can't we? Why they're all watching Leeds against Newcastle on LUTV?"
The main thing I got from the highlights was that they still play the Mark Knopfler song at the start, even in what's essentially a football pitch field, just surrounded by a little white barrier. They still have Mark Knopfler playing.
The local hero song.
Yeah.
This is the venue where, was it Will Huffer who had to get a new goalkeeper shirt? Or no, he made the entire Newcastle team change because he's colourblind and he couldn't see the shirts.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah,
Not good that he's colourblind. Good that he made him change.
It was the same floodlights, and it did look quite dark on the old highlights. And yes, I'd forgotten. I don't know if that. I'm sure that Will Huffer is colourblind during the day as well, but I don't think that the floodlighting helped. So,
can anyone tell me where Will Huffer is now? As in football club, not
Salford?
Burgess Hill Town FC.
Oh, that's down near Brighton, isn't it?
I could have waited probably quite a long time for you to guess that one. Yes, it is. It's in Sussex.
I think it's Alex Cairns might have gone to Salford. He's recently left Fleetwood anyway. Well, better than I am in goal, isn't he?
I suppose so.
Can't really knock it.
Part 1 done and dusted of the show. Look out for part 2 in your YouTube feed, which is the preview for Everton, and part 3 where we'll pick the week's heroes and villains as well.
The Square Ball Podcast.